like to introduce the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Cape Town, Professor Phakeng, who we're very pleased to have on one of her first public appearances since her appointment as VC. So, VC, if you'll join me.
Thank you, Alan. It's a great pleasure to be here. Alan says it's my first appearance as VC. Alan doesn't know that I've been on duty since Sunday. So,
I did notice.
So on Sunday night, I opened the International Congress, the 20th International Congress on Linguistics. And it was for the first time that they called me Vice-Chancellor. And I didn't go up because I thought Max should. and Max was nowhere to be seen, so I had to go up. So this is the second time. But of course, this is the first time that I'm doing something within the university that's as special as this. And so it's my great pleasure to announce the launch of the Nelson Mandela School of Public Governance, especially this week. It's a good way to start one's tenure as Vice-Chancellor of the University of Cape Town. And of course, this school is not new. As I understand, it was launched in 2011 as the Graduate School of Development Policy and Practice. And so the Nelson Mandela School of Public Leadership combines academic insight with practice-based public service strategy to promote effective public leadership, which we desperately need in this continent. But how does this relate to what I bring as my vision to UCT? My vision for UCT is based on driving what we are here for as a university, the academic project, scholarship. And that rests on three important pillars that, in my view, are interdependent. The one pillar is excellence, then transformation, and sustainability. It's these three pillars, in my view, that's going to enable us to drive scholarship that makes a difference, not only in terms of academia, but in terms of leadership and governance. Because these three pillars will not work if it doesn't rest on solid leadership and governance. So to launch the Nelson Mandela School of Governance is key in terms of what we are trying to do. Because it's one thing to have a great vision. It's one thing to make things different. It's one thing to say we produce high-level scholarship and so on, but it never happens if there isn't a support of leadership and governance. And so we see the school as an important aspect of what we do in the university. It will advance what we are about, because there's no point in being a highly regarded university if our level of scholarship doesn't influence what happens in government in terms of leadership. And so, in terms of leadership and governance, and so it's very special for me to be here and drive and launch this school. And here's how the three pillars connect. It's the three pillars, as I said: excellence, sustainability, excellence, transformation, and sustainability. And I deliberately put transformation in the middle because it's at the core of what we do. Because without transformation, our excellence will not be sustainable. But in the same way, without excellence, the transformation project has got no integrity. You cannot drive transformation without a focus on excellence. In fact, if you do that, you'll undermine the very transformation project itself. To make it meaningful, to make it impactful, we've got to make sure that our transformation agenda also foregrounds excellence, because that's what we are about. And that's about the future, a secure future for UCT that is sustainable. Because without these things, we won't have a future that's sustainable. Oftentimes when we talk about sustainability, we look at financial sustainability and environmental sustainability, but there's also sustainability of what keeps institutions going. And excellent leadership and governance are key in that formula. And so the Nelson Mandela School of Governance, public governance, is critical in this regard, not only within, but outside the university. So thank you so much for the work that you do, Alan. I'm sure I'll get time. I'm sure you saw that in my message I said I'll be visiting departments, and I'll elaborate on this vision and the different initiatives that will showcase it, support it, and make it happen. And so I look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much. if you look around this room, you'll see what we're about. That blue poster is our first master's class, our master's in development policy and practice. And the 20-odd, 21 or 22 people you see in those pictures, half of them are South Africans, half of them are from the rest of Africa. They're all people who have already proven themselves in public leadership. So they're not straight from school, university. They've spent at least 5 years doing work in government or civil society or international organizations, aid organizations, some in media, some in the consultancy, for example, but mostly in the different spheres of government from South Africa and other parts of Africa. Most of our master students come from East, Central and Southern Africa. Since then, we're now in our 5th cohort. Each cohort joins us for 2 years. They spend 2 weeks at a time with us twice in each of those years. So they have 8 contact weeks and a lot of work that we do with them in between. And it's a great master's program. It's one where we attract a lot of applications, and we're able to select terrific people to teach each other as much as we teach them, and to build these relationships across African institutions. Another program that we have is the green poster, which is our Building Bridges program. It's our leadership program, our Emerging African Leaders program. This year we had 30 young Africans between the ages of 25 and 35 who came from 10 African countries, the furthest being Ethiopia and Senegal, and another 8 countries including South Africa. And they spent 2 weeks with us on a very intensive leadership program, which is followed up with coaching and other forms of contact and engagement. And we bring them back in meetings from time to time. And again, through the Building Bridges program, we're building a network, an African network of emerging leaders who are interested in reforms to the benefit of African people in general. That's part of the Building Bridges program, includes the Emerging African Leaders program and several other programs. In addition to those 2 programs, we have a research program. We now have 6 or 7 PhDs. We just started our PhD program, and we have about 6 or 7 on our, is it 7? 7 on our books at the moment. Most of them are working actually in the field of ICT policy, ICT for development policy, because that's where we've been able to raise the scholarship money. And they're also from all over Africa. So in addition to our research program includes other activities as well. We're about to publish a book. Professor Brian Levy, who's sitting in front next to the Vice-Chancellor, is our academic director and leads a lot of our research programs. And the book, which is about to come out in a few months' time, is a book about governance in basic education in South Africa and the impact of the quality of governance in basic education on the quality of education. And I think it's going to be a really important book, and I hope that it's widely read and understood. And we're certainly going to try to get it widely read and understood when it comes out. We've already had some events around the findings of the research. And we also have an executive education program. So executive education is where people come for anything from 3 or 4 days to a couple of weeks for training programs. They're again already people who are in leadership positions in the public sector in Africa, and they come together around a range of topics. This year topics we've had include using evidence in policy making and implementation. It's a program we do regularly, how government officials and leaders can understand evidence and use evidence effectively, both in policy development and in program implementation, even more importantly. We have a program on poverty and inequality, engaging with poverty and inequality, which we do regularly. We also this year had a program on public employment programs in Africa, how the government can address some of the unemployment issues through public works programs and similar types of programs in different parts of Africa. Those are some of the programs we've run this year. We have so I'd like to encourage you to, everybody, apart from the people in the school who know what we do, to take one of these bags, because inside the bag you'll find the press release, you'll find a short background document on the school, and 3 pamphlets on the 3 main pillars of the school: the master's program, the executive education, and the building bridges program. So thank you very much, Vice-Chancellor. It's fantastic to have you here. I know it wasn't your very first public appearance, but we managed to grab you early on in your tenure. And thank you to everybody else who's made the school what it is. They're mostly around in this room at the moment. Not everybody there are people who've helped build the school who are not in the room. Enjoy the rest of the morning, and if you'd like to have any informal conversation with me and my colleagues who are in the room, maybe I should point a few of them out. You've met Carla, Wendy, and Alvina. Brian Levy is sitting in front here next to the Chancellor. He's the academic head. At the back is Marianne Camara, who runs the Building Bridges program, and is Penny around? And Kelvin Chabala is our Finance and Operations Director. So he makes everything work in the organization. So enjoy the rest of the morning.